Welcome to Pulse, today's hotel, restaurant, and bar industry news. A deep dive from HRBUniversal, navigating your industry. With insights from leaders.
Think about the last time you went out and bought a $50 steak at a really nice restaurant.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the lighting in the room was probably perfect. The server was incredibly attentive. They knew exactly when to refill your wine.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire experience just felt entirely organic, human even.
Right.
But what you didn't see, like operating completely invisibly behind the kitchen doors, was the AI algorithm that predicted exactly what time you order that steak based on historical Tuesday night weather pattern.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You didn't see the software that calculated the cost of that specific cut of beef down to the fraction of a penny.
Right.
Or the automated scheduler that ensured exactly the right number of cooks were on the line to plate it without, standing around idle.
Yeah, it's wild.
So today, we are looking at a massive stack of industry reports that prove the restaurant and hospitality industry is no longer just in the food business. I mean, they are entirely in the data business.
It is a phenomenal shift to witness. I mean, the hospitality sector in 2026 is currently sitting on a valuation of $1.4 trillion.
Wow.
Which is huge. And you hear a number with that many zeros, and the immediate assumption is that everyone in the industry is just thriving.
Right.
You picture massive expansions, champagne popping, this general sense of financial invincibility.
But the reality on the ground is actually the exact opposite.
Exactly.
If you talk to the people actually running the kitchens, the corner convenience stores or the local cafes, they will tell you they're in a fight for their lives.
Yeah, they really are.
Like 9 out of 10 operators right now are facing absolute crushing pressure from the combination of skyrocketing food costs and incredibly tight labor markets.
It is the ultimate paradox of the modern economy. You have the highest revenue potential in history sitting right alongside some of the tightest, most unforgiving profit margins we have ever seen. It is a pressure cooker. And the old playbook for surviving this kind of margin squeeze was simple. You just print a new menu and pass the cost on to the consumer.
Right. You just add $1 to the burger, add 50 cents to the fries.
Right, but we've hit a structural ceiling on that strategy. Consumers are experiencing severe inflation fatigue.
Oh, for sure.
There is a very real limit to what someone will pay for a quick service meal before they simply decide to eat at home. Prices aren't going down, but the tolerance for price hikes is just gone.
Yeah.
So these businesses are being forced to change the actual how of their daily operations.
Welcome to the deep dive. I am thrilled you are joining us because our mission today is to sift through this incredibly dense 2026 intelligence. We've got data from Restaurant 365, Informa, C-Store Dive, PwC, and even academic papers on delivery algorithms.
Yeah, the Meituan paper is fascinating.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. We're trying to understand exactly how local operators are using data to survive. Okay, let's unpack this. Because if 5 years ago the focus was all about shiny customer-facing gadgets, today the focus is completely reversed.
That reversal is crucial to understand. Think back to, just a few years ago. Every restaurant was obsessed with putting a tablet on every table.
Oh, right. Those little kiosks.
Right. Launching flashy proprietary ordering apps or experimenting with voice AI in the drive-thru.
Yeah.
The strategy was entirely front of house. It was about dazzling the guest. But today, the focus is incredibly gritty. The technological revolution has moved to the back of house, entirely focused on margin protection.
We are talking about the unglamorous stuff.
Yeah.
Inventory trackers, back office software, automated invoicing, basically the digital plumbing that actually keeps the lights on.
Yeah.
Let's look at the data we have from the Restaurant 365 mid-year report because they have identified a massive schism in the industry. They are calling it the restaurant profitability gap.
The Restaurant 365 study is fascinating because of its sheer scale. They looked at over 420 operators, and that represents nearly 10,000 individual locations.
Wow, that's a lot of data.
It's massive. And they found a measurable, stark difference between restaurants that are actively using AI to turn raw operational data into immediate action and those that are still relying on traditional management methods. The gap between those two groups is widening by the minute.
The numbers coming out of that report are staggering.
Right.
I mean, operators who have integrated AI into their back office report a 61% reduction in food costs.
Yep.
They report a 62% reduction in labor costs,
Yeah.
and 88% of them say the software is saving them physical hours of management time every single week.
It's incredible.
Nearly a third of these businesses are seeing overall operational cost reductions of 6% or more.
Yeah.
And, you know, in an industry where fighting for a 1% margin increase is considered a massive victory, 6% is basically a miracle.
Oh, absolutely. A
Uh,
6% margin recovery is the difference between closing your doors for good and finding the capital to open a second location. But to really grasp this, we need to break down why this profitability gap exists. The dividing line in the hospitality industry is no longer between businesses that use technology and businesses that don't.
Right.
Everyone uses some form of technology. The new divide is the speed of the data. It is static data versus real-time AI-assisted decision-making.
So static data would be like the old way of running a kitchen, the classic month-end spreadsheet.
Precisely that. The Workday report we reviewed highlights this operational flaw perfectly. Historically, a restaurant manager or owner would wait until the very end of the month to reconcile all their paper invoices from vendors.
Oh, man, it sounds miserable.
Yeah, they manually count the boxes of inventory sitting in the walk-in freezer, and then they finally run the math to check their margins.
So by the time that manager realizes the cost of, I don't know, wholesale chicken spiked 3 weeks ago, or that they had 3 too many servers scheduled for 2 notoriously slow Tuesdays in a row, the month is already over.
Exactly.
The cash is already burned.
The money is gone, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to get it back.
It's basically the difference between performing an autopsy and hooking a patient up to a heart monitor.
Yeah,
You know, the month-end spreadsheet just tells you exactly why the restaurant died.
right.
But the real-time AI alerts you that the business is flatlining on a random Tuesday afternoon,
Yeah.
giving you the chance to grab the defibrillator paddles and actually fix the problem while the patient is still breathing.
That is a phenomenal way to conceptualize it. What these modern integrations do is connect the point of sale, the cash register, directly to the inventory and labor systems in real time.
Okay.
So if you have daily or even hourly visibility into your performance, you can correct a variance midweek. If your food costs unexpectedly jump on a Wednesday afternoon because a new cook is overportioning the cheese.
Oh, like putting way too much on a burger.
Exactly. The system flags it. You can correct the behavior or adjust your purchasing by Thursday morning. You are entirely proactive.
And what's interesting is that this level of technological sophistication isn't just reserved for the massive 1,000-unit corporate chains anymore.
No, not at all.
We are seeing incredibly rapid adoption in small and mid-sized businesses. According to the Informa Market Leader report, 53% of operators are prioritizing point-of-sale upgrades this year. That is up significantly from 40% just last year.
What's fascinating here is how basic tech integration has evolved from a luxury add-on to the absolute prerequisite for survival. Take a brand like Piatta Italian Street Food.
Oh yeah, I know them.
Their VP of Technology made a very pointed statement about moving away from gut feelings. For decades, this industry ran on the intuition of veteran managers. The manager would look at the weather, look at the calendar, and just feel out how much dough to prep.
Right.
But Piatta is making massive investments in data analytics, so every single operational decision is backed by hard empirical numbers.
So no more guessing that a rainy Wednesday means preparing 20% less food.
Exactly.
The algorithm tells you exactly what historical rainy Wednesdays look like down to the specific hour.
Exactly. But there is a crucial stepping stone here. You look at brands like Black Rock Coffee, and they realized a vital truth early on. Before you can even attempt to deploy complex, AI-driven, predictive inventory management, you have to get your foundational technology in order.
Right.
You cannot build a smart house on a crumbling foundation.
Meaning the point-of-sale system itself has to be modernized first.
Yes. The modern POS is the central nervous system of the business. If your cash register software is outdated and isn't speaking the same digital language as your inventory tracker or your labor scheduling app, you are still flying blind.
Yeah.
That foundational integration is the absolute first step for any operator trying to cross that profitability gap.
Okay, I am following the logic of the back-of-house revolution. The algorithms are tracking the inventory, they are forecasting the labor schedules, they are catching the overportioning and keeping food costs down. But I want to understand how this bleeds into the front of house. If I walk into a restaurant and sit down at a table, how does this invisible AI actually impact the menu I am holding in my hands?
Well,
Because the reports show a definitive move away from just applying blanket price increases across the board.
it requires a completely different approach to menu engineering. Savvy operators are utilizing their real-time data to categorize every single item on their menu into a complex mathematical matrix.
Okay.
They evaluate two specific metrics: Sales mix, meaning how popular the item is, and contribution margin.
Meaning the actual raw dollars that item drops to the bottom line after you subtract the food costs.
Right.
So they are essentially assigning a personality profile to every dish.
Exactly. They group them into 4 categories. You have your stars, which are highly popular and highly profitable. You have your opportunities, which have great profit margins, but just aren't selling well.
Okay, I'm with you.
You have your problems, which guests order constantly, but they are so expensive to make that they yield almost no profit. And finally, you have your dogs, which are both unpopular and unprofitable.
So instead of a panicked manager just raising the price of everything by $1, the algorithm tells them exactly which lever to pull for maximum financial impact without scaring away the guest.
It's surgical. They look at that contribution margin, and then they cross-reference it with a concept called price comparability.
Okay.
Ask yourself, how easy is it for a customer to compare the price of a side of French fries at your restaurant to the burger joint down the street?
Incredibly easy. Fries are fries. If one place charges $4 and the other charges $8, I notice immediately.
Because items like sides, basic salads, and soft drinks are highly comparable, they are incredibly price sensitive.
Right.
You cannot aggressively raise prices there without immediate consumer blowback. But what about a signature dish? A unique proprietary cocktail, or a specific preparation of a protein that is entirely unique to your brand?
I can't compare it because nobody else makes it.
Right, and that gives the restaurant pricing power. Guests are far less likely to substitute a unique star item. So an operator armed with this data matrix will apply controlled, strategic price increases to those unique stars while holding the line on the highly comparable items. They protect their margins without triggering that inflation fatigue we talked about earlier.
I have to push back a little bit here, though.
Yeah.
I hear all this categorizing every French fry, mathematically profiling a side salad, squeezing every penny of contribution margin out of a signature cocktail.
Yeah.
Does hyper-optimizing a menu to this extreme degree risk making the restaurant feel like a soulless algorithm? I mean, dining out is fundamentally emotional.
Very true.
It is supposed to be romantic or comforting or just fun. It isn't supposed to feel like a hyper-optimized financial transaction for the guest.
It is a profoundly valid concern, and honestly, it is the central tension the hospitality industry is wrestling with right now. There is a brilliant editorial we reviewed from Restaurant Dive that tackles this exact philosophical problem.
Oh yeah, I love that piece.
Yeah, they make a powerful point. When a customer pays $50 for a plate of food, they aren't just buying $50 worth of raw ingredients, they are paying for $50 of experience.
Because if it was just about the calories, you could go to the grocery store, buy a cheaper steak, and cook it in your own kitchen. You go out for the feeling of being taken care of.
Exactly. You are paying to be served, to sit in a room where the lighting is curated, the music is right, and for an hour or two, the stress of the outside world stops existing.
Yeah.
And this is where we have to entirely reframe how we view this gritty back-of-house technology. The software industry constantly pitches AI as a tool for time savings.
Right.
But ask any restaurant general manager, and they will tell you there is no such thing as time savings in a restaurant. The entire staff is already operating at 100% maximum capacity, 100% of the time.
Yeah. If you give a restaurant manager an extra hour, they will find 3 hours of work to fill it.
Exactly. So the technological shift isn't about time savings. It is actually about time allocation.
Time allocation. Meaning, if the AI just automated your inventory counting, what are you choosing to do with those 30 minutes you just got back?
Yes. If a predictive AI system takes a manager out of the tiny windowless back office, if they no longer have to spend 3 hours manually counting bottles of liquor or fighting with a broken Excel spreadsheet to build next week's schedule,
Right.
that manager doesn't go home early. They take that time and they allocate it to the dining room floor. They are out there touching tables, checking on guests, supporting the serving staff during a rush, and actually interacting with human beings.
So the paradox here is that the cold calculating algorithm running quietly in the back is actually the very mechanism that enables warm human hospitality in the front.
That is the ultimate synthesis of tech and service in 2026. The Restaurant Association data confirms this consumer desire. 64% of full-service guests state that the atmosphere and the quality of service matter more to them than the actual price of the meal.
Wow, 64%.
The technology these operators are deploying isn't designed to replace human hospitality. It is designed to protect it. It aggressively automates the mundane paperwork so the human staff can focus entirely on the unautomatable art of making people feel welcome.
The tech handles the math, the humans handle the hospitality. I love that framework. But I want to contrast this because while the restaurant industry is heavily focused inward, hiding the technology in the back of house to protect the traditional dining experience,
Right.
the convenience store sector is adopting the exact opposite philosophy.
Oh, totally.
They're aggressively expanding outward. They're putting the technology, the gamification, and the algorithm right in the customer's face to redefine the front-of-house experience.
The metamorphosis of the convenience store is arguably one of the most compelling business evolutions of this decade. If traditional restaurants are fighting tooth and nail to preserve their historical role as a dining destination, C-stores are actively transforming themselves into a completely new category of retail. They're trying to become the new third place.
We reviewed an incredibly detailed report from InTouch Insight on this exact phenomenon. I mean, for my entire life, a C-store was nothing more than a pit stop.
Right.
You pull in, you pump your gas, you grab a lukewarm soda or a stale hot dog, and you leave as fast as humanly possible.
Exactly.
The entire business model was built on transactional speed, but that model is dying. We're seeing forward-thinking C-store operators completely ditching the transactional box and building high-dwell social hubs.
The real-world examples of this evolution are stunning. Look at Rusty Lantern Market up in Maine. They aren't just slapping a new coat of paint on a gas station, they are fundamentally changing the architecture.
Yeah.
They are installing signature fireplaces, they have plush seating lounges, they are operating open-concept kitchens staffed by uniformed chefs preparing made-to-order meals.
It's crazy.
Or look at Rutter's 1747 concept. They are integrating full bars, live sports stickers, and electronic gaming terminals right into the retail floor. The entire psychological cue of the building has changed from get out quickly to stay a while.
A sports bar and a fireplace inside a convenience store. It sounds absurd until you look at the strategy behind it. Why are these brands making massive capital investments in plush lounges?
It is a highly calculated move to capture a very specific demographic that the industry calls the super user. The data from InTouch Insight reveals a critical statistic. 24% of convenience store customers are visiting a location multiple times a week.
Wow.
These super users are the lifeblood of the business. And what the data shows is that these loyalists aren't just motivated by a random 5-cent discount on a gallon of gas. They are motivated by familiarity, by daily routine, and by a sense of safety and comfort.
For the super user, the store transitions from being a simple utility to becoming a part of their daily rhythm. It becomes a space that feels like theirs.
And to ensure those super users keep coming back to their specific brand, instead of the competitor across the street, C-stores are completely revolutionizing the mechanics of customer loyalty. We have fully entered the era of Loyalty 2.0.
Right.
This goes so far beyond the traditional paper punch card where you buy 10 coffees to get one free.
Oh, the paper punch card is extinct.
Yeah.
Today, the loyalty battleground is entirely about gamification and AI-driven personalization.
Yep.
And this makes sense because traditional discounting is a very blunt instrument. If a store just blasts out a coupon for 10% off to everyone, it costs the retailer a fortune in lost margin. And it doesn't necessarily change the behavior of the consumer.
Right.
But gamification turns the act of buying a coffee into an interactive psychological experience.
We saw a prime example of this with Quick Trip. They recently partnered with an AI loyalty company called Eagle Eye to launch highly individualized challenges.
Okay.
So instead of the app just giving you a generic static coupon for a soda, the AI analyzes your specific historical buying patterns. It knows what you buy and when you buy it.
Wow.
Then it issues a custom challenge directly to your phone, like buy 3 energy drinks this week before Friday to unlock a special digital badge and 500 bonus points.
It leverages the same dopamine loops as a video game. You aren't just buying a drink. You are completing a quest. You are protecting a streak.
It makes the customer feel uniquely seen by the brand, and crucially, it drives incremental visits that wouldn't have happened otherwise. Toot and Totem is another fantastic case study.
Oh yeah, what do they do?
They completely revamped their digital infrastructure to combine standard loyalty points, age-verified tobacco discounts, and gamification features into one single seamless interface. They simplified their internal tech stack while simultaneously making the front-end customer experience infinitely more engaging.
Here's where it gets really interesting. The financial impact of migrating from static discounts to AI-enabled gamified loyalty is massive.
Oh, huge.
According to the industry data we reviewed, these personalized programs drive a 20% to 50% increase in a guest's lifetime value compared to a standard non-gamified point system.
Yeah.
And when you look at the demographic trends, it is essential for the future. 62% of Gen Z consumers explicitly state they will choose one brand over a competitor purely because of the quality of their loyalty program.
That is a staggering metric. It means the loyalty app is no longer just a cute marketing add-on managed by an intern. It is the core product differentiator of the entire brand.
Absolutely.
But there is a hidden, highly lucrative benefit for the retailer here, and it all comes back to the data.
The holy grail of modern retail, first-party data.
Look at the coffee chain Dutch Bros. Their Dutch Rewards program has been so successful that it now captures 74% of all their transactions.
That's insane.
Let that sink in. 74%. That means for nearly 3/4 of every single cup of coffee they sell across the country, they know exactly who bought it, what time of day they bought it, what specific flavor syrups they added, and which physical location they prefer to visit.
That isn't just a list of email addresses. That is a behavioral goldmine.
Yeah.
Because they own that authenticated first-party data, they don't have to rely on giving money to massive tech companies for external digital advertising to acquire or retarget customers.
Right.
They bypass the middleman entirely. They just send a push notification directly to the millions of highly engaged super users already living inside their app. That is an almost impenetrable competitive moat.
It is a brilliant strategy, but to truly understand why these gamified apps and these upgraded fireplace lounges are actually working in the real world, we have to look beneath the software. We have to examine the underlying consumer psychology that is dictating the modern shopping basket in 2026.
Because all the predictive AI and gamified badges in the world don't matter if the customer walking through the door simply isn't in the mood to spend money.
Exactly.
And right now, the macroeconomic reality is that the consumer is dealing with profound inflation fatigue. They're actively cutting back on big-ticket purchases. But paradoxically, they're still spending aggressively on small indulgences. There's a specific term for this highlighted in the C-Store Dive report, featuring insights from Ferrero USA. Treatonomics.
Treatonomics. It is the complex psychology of affordable luxury. Consumers are incredibly stressed about their household budgets. They might be making the difficult decision to skip the expensive family vacation this year, or they're holding off on buying a new car because of interest rates,
Right.
or they're even canceling their monthly meal delivery subscriptions. And because they are being so diligent and experiencing the psychological pain of scrimping in those major life areas, they develop a strong internal narrative that they deserve a reward.
A small, guilt-free treat.
Yeah.
It is self-care disguised as a $3 candy bar.
Exactly. And the convenience store environment is perfectly architected to capture this specific psychological state because C-stores are environments of pure spontaneity.
Yeah.
Think about the mindset of walking into a massive grocery store. You have a cart, you have a strict written list, and you are playing financial defense against your weekly budget. You are on guard.
Oh, completely.
But when you walk into a C-store, you are dropping in for 3 minutes. You aren't doing your weekly shopping. You mentally give yourself permission to splurge.
And operators are capitalizing on this treatonomics mindset by engineering the physical layout of the store to create multiple points of interruption.
Right.
You no longer just put all the chocolate in a designated candy aisle in the back. You put the Kinder Eggs on a standalone display right near the entrance doors.
Yeah.
You cross-merchandise the premium sweet treats directly next to the coffee station. You are actively trying to trigger that impulse that I deserve this mindset at every single physical step of the customer journey.
But while consumers are actively indulging in these small, affordable treats, there is a massive biological shift happening concurrently that is fundamentally altering the overall volume of food consumption globally. We have to address the GLP-1 factor.
The massive rise of GLP-1 weight loss medications. The PwC report analyzing the impact of these drugs on retail is absolutely fascinating. We aren't just talking about a cultural diet trend. We are seeing a real, measurable biological shift in the actual composition of the shopping basket.
It is fundamentally changing the physics of consumer demand. When patients are prescribed these medications, their overall grocery and restaurant spend drops significantly simply because their baseline appetite is biologically suppressed.
Right.
They physically cannot consume the same volume of calories. But the critical story for the industry isn't just the drop in volume, it is where their remaining demand is reallocating.
Okay, tell me about that.
The PwC data is very clear. 70% of GLP-1 users report an increased preference for healthier foods.
Wow.
56% are shifting their baskets to buy more fresh fruit and vegetables. 54% are aggressively seeking high-protein options, and 46% are prioritizing fiber-rich foods.
So the sheer volume of food being purchased is dropping. but the specific nutritional density requirements for what they do buy are skyrocketing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, continuously falling food volume is an existential crisis for a hospitality industry that was historically built on selling massive quantities of cheap calories.
Right.
To survive this biological shift, brands are being forced to adopt a strategy known as selective premiumization.
Selective premiumization. If I'm understanding the mechanism here, if the customer is biologically driven to eat less, the restaurant needs to charge them more for what they do eat to maintain revenue.
Yes.
But they have to justify that higher price tag by providing a vastly superior, highly functional product.
Precisely. You cannot simply shrink the portion size of a standard menu item and charge the same price. The modern consumer is too savvy, they see right through shrinkflation.
Oh, absolutely.
But what a brand can do is offer a highly functional, nutrient-dense, high-protein snack, perhaps an artisanal, locally sourced protein yogurt, and charge a significant premium for the clear, functional, biological benefit it provides the GLP-1 consumer.
I see.
The entire value proposition of the industry is shifting away from sheer quantity and moving toward quality, functionality, and nutritional density.
And we are seeing this demand for highly specific, timely value play out not just in what people eat, but in how they use restaurant promotions. Looking at the National Restaurant Association's 2025 trends data, 82% of delivery customers explicitly state they want daily specials or real-time promotions.
Yeah.
They do not want a static 10% off coupon code that sits on a paper flyer on their fridge for 6 months.
Because a static coupon is a blunt instrument, much like we discussed with the old paper punch cards in C-stores. A real-time promotion, however, is a surgical tool for a restaurant operator.
Okay, how so?
Imagine you're running a restaurant and you have a rainy Tuesday afternoon. The dining room is completely empty and your prep cooks are standing around. You absolutely do not want to permanently lower your menu prices to attract guests.
No.
That destroys your brand equity and permanently damages your margin.
But you still need to get people in the door right then to cover the labor costs you are already paying for that hour.
Right. So leveraging that real-time POS data we discussed earlier, the operator drops a real-time flash promotion via their smartphone app or through targeted social media.
Oh, cool.
A hyper-specific flash sale that is only valid from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. on that specific rainy Tuesday. You drive immediate traffic during your slowest day part, you keep your kitchen staff actively producing, you capture revenue that would have been lost forever, and you do it all without committing to a permanent menu discount.
Wow.
It requires a high degree of digital agility, but when executed correctly, it is incredibly effective at protecting margins.
Okay, we have covered an immense amount of strategic ground. We've talked about the crushing macroeconomic pressures, the deployment of AI in the back of house to create a profitability gap, the gamification and third-place evolution in C-stores, and the biological and psychological shifts of the modern consumer.
It's a lot.
It is. Let's bring all these high-level abstract concepts down to earth. Let's look at the actual high-tech logistics and how a business implements this. Because when we talk about algorithms managing delivery networks, it sounds like science fiction.
Oh, totally.
But we have a paper published in Transportation Science regarding Meituan's meal delivery network in China that reveals exactly how this technology operates in the wild.
Meituan operates one of the largest delivery platforms on the planet, and the sheer mathematical complexity of the logistics problem they face every minute is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
They have to dynamically assign hundreds of thousands of incoming food orders to hundreds of thousands of moving couriers across massive cities, all while calculating unpredictable consumer demand, real-time traffic gridlock, and highly variable food preparation times at thousands of different restaurants.
Sounds impossible.
Traditional dispatching algorithms would approach this by simply looking at the immediate problem in front of them, like who is the absolute closest driver to this pizza right now?
Which, on the surface, seems completely logical. Find the closest guy, give him the pizza, get it delivered fast.
It seems logical, but it is fundamentally flawed because it focuses entirely on short-term cost minimization and completely ignores the long-term health of the entire delivery network.
Why is that?
Well, if you blindly assign that pizza to the closest driver, you might be sending that courier out into a suburban dead zone where there are no other restaurants. That means his entire return trip is deadhead time. It's entirely wasted labor.
Ah, right.
Or worse, you might inadvertently overload one highly efficient courier with 5 orders, while another courier 2 blocks away sits completely idle.
So to solve this massive running problem, Meituan deployed a reinforcement learning model. They combined reinforcement learning with something called hyperheuristic optimization.
Yes.
And the best way I can think to explain the mechanism here is to compare it to chess. The old algorithm, the one just looking for the closest driver, is like a novice chess player. They only look at the immediate move in front of them. They take the pawn because it's available right now. It just solves the immediate problem of getting one late pizza delivered.
Yes. It optimizes for the immediate micro interaction at the expense of the macro environment.
But the master chess player, which represents the reinforcement learning algorithm, doesn't just look at the immediate move. It is constantly ingesting massive amounts of data. Real-time traffic camera feeds, historical grill times for specific burger joints, the current battery levels of the courier's e-bikes, to anticipate future board states.
That's wild.
It evaluates workload balance across the entire fleet. It predicts exactly where a bottleneck will happen 20 minutes before it actually occurs. It calculates, if I send this specific driver to deliver this pizza right now, where exactly will he be geographically in 20 minutes when the dinner rush hits?
Yeah.
It is constantly trading off minor immediate lateness penalties against the long-term systemic efficiency of the entire city.
And that profound level of predictive intelligence is what allows these massive hyperscale delivery networks to actually operate profitably without collapsing under the weight of their own logistical chaos.
But this raises an important question. It is one thing for Meituan, a multi-billion-dollar international tech giant with armies of data scientists, to deploy a reinforcement learning neural network.
Right.
How does a local 3-location family burger joint or a neighborhood convenience store actually implement this kind of data-driven strategy without getting completely overwhelmed? Because if I am an operator currently working 60 hours a week just trying to keep my head above water, I don't have the time, the energy, or the capital to learn hyper-heuristic optimization.
And the reality is they absolutely shouldn't try to. The goal for a local operator isn't to become a software engineer. The goal is to implement accessible tools that do the heavy analytical lifting in the background. The Restaurant 365 playbook we reviewed addresses this friction perfectly. They outline a very practical, highly structured 30-day implementation guide designed specifically for small and mid-size operators. It strips away all the intimidation factor of AI and focuses purely on execution.
I love a good playbook. Walk us through the mechanism. How does a manager actually start this on day one without triggering a staff mutiny?
Step 1 is crucial. Pick 1 or 2 specific moves. Do not attempt to overhaul your entire legacy operation overnight. You will paralyze your staff.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Maybe your very first move is simply integrating your new point-of-sale system directly into your inventory management software. The only goal is ensuring that when a cashier rings up a chicken sandwich, the inventory software automatically deducts 1 chicken breast from the virtual walk-in. That's it. Just establish 1 single source of truth.
Just get the foundational systems talking to each other.
Okay, so I've connected my POS. What is step 2?
Step 2 is the hardest part. Commit to execution for 30 straight days. You have to fight human nature here. Do not look for an overnight margin miracle, because everyone expects immediate results.
Exactly. Let the system run and focus entirely on change management. Ensure your kitchen managers are actually logging the waste data into the tablet correctly, and aggressively build the habit of relying on the software's dashboards instead of falling back on the comfortable, familiar clipboard.
Enforcing the discipline of the system through the initial friction. That makes sense. What happens at step 3?
Step 3, track the results closely. At the end of that first 30-day cycle, sit down and look at the variance report. Did your overall food cost percentage drop by a point?
Right.
Did the software catch an over-ordering mistake on produce 3 days earlier than your manual system would have? You look for the small empirical wins.
And I imagine step 4 is where you iterate. Refine the process, figure out exactly what worked, and more importantly, identify where the friction still exists with the staff.
Exactly. And finally, step 5, repeat what works. Once that first inventory integration is humming in the background seamlessly and you've successfully bought your management team a few extra hours of time a week, then you move on to the next integration.
No.
Maybe your next 30-day sprint is connecting your labor scheduling tool to your predictive sales forecasting. The entire philosophy of this playbook is about automating manual tasks to surface operational issues early. You are trying to build durable, long-term profit margins through small, consistent, highly compounding improvements. As the playbook explicitly notes, survival in 2026 is a margin rebuild, not a margin miracle.
So what does this all mean? We have covered a truly massive amount of terrain on this deep dive today. We've seen how integrating real-time AI in the gritty back of house is drastically lowering food and labor costs, creating a widening profitability gap between the tech adopters and the legacy laggards. We've looked at how surgical, targeted menu engineering protects the human experience of the $50 plate by reallocating management time to the dining room floor. We've explored the completely contrasting strategy of convenience stores, aggressively transforming into gamified third-place lounges to capture and retain the daily routines of super users.
Yeah.
We've seen how macro consumer psychology, from the affordable luxury of treatonics to the profound biological shifts driven by GLP-1 medications, is forcing operators to adapt their merchandising and deploy real-time promotions just to survive. But ultimately, what ties all of these disparate industry reports together is one core truth. Survival in 2026 means embracing total digital agility in the background, specifically to protect and scale human hospitality in the foreground.
It really does all come back to that human element. The data systems handle the massive operational complexity so that people can handle the human connection. And as we look to the future of loyalty, retention, and experiential retail, there is one final concept from the Acor and ALL.com experiential travel report that I think perfectly encapsulates where this entire industry is heading.
Oh, what's that?
They describe the ultimate future of customer loyalty as rewards as passports to the extraordinary.
Passports to the extraordinary.
That is a heavy phrase.
It represents a massive paradigm shift. For decades, hospitality loyalty programs were fundamentally about utility. You earn points to get a free flight, a slightly larger room upgrade, or a complimentary continental breakfast.
Yeah, standard stuff.
But today, top-tier loyalty is about granting access to rare, prestigious, highly curated moments that money literally cannot buy. The report highlights that 72% of modern travelers say that exclusive access to unforgettable experiences is what they value most in a brand. Accor is bringing this philosophy to life globally with what they call limitless experiences. And the specific examples they give in the report are just wild. They've literally built a custom Novotel suite physically inside the Paris Saint-Germain professional soccer stadium.
It's amazing.
You sleep in a bed, suspended above the pitch, you watch the match from your room, and you have a dedicated butler. Or they have an experience where you and your guests dine suspended 50 meters in the air over the Dubai Marina.
Yeah, you can't just buy that.
No, you cannot just go online and book these experiences with a high-limit credit card. You have to actively win them in exclusive points auctions. It completely transforms standard loyalty points from a discount mechanism into a highly coveted currency of prestige.
It is the ultimate evolution of gamification.
And it leaves us with a really provocative thought experiment to end on. If massive global hotel chains are successfully turning loyalty points into money, can't buy experiences like sleeping inside a professional soccer stadium, how long until your local convenience store or your favorite neighborhood restaurant stops offering generic free coffees and starts offering hyperlocal exclusive experiential rewards?
That's a great question.
Imagine cashing in a year's worth of points to sit down and design the weekend special with the head chef, or unlocking an exclusive VIP parking spot right outside the C-Store Lounge during the big Friday night high school football game. What would the ultimate gamified money can't buy experience look like for your local business? Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, check out the sources we've linked to explore these mechanics yourself, and keep exploring the extraordinary. We'll see you next time.